People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you for tuning back in. If you're thinking why my voice sounds a bit different or a bit under the weather and I sound a bit ill, at least I've picked up on that anyways. If you haven't, let's crack on. Now, it looks like Denis Suárez, if you didn't know already, is on the verge of joining us. Arsenal and Barcelona allegedly have made a breakthrough in regards to the structure of the loan. The loan fees allegedly £2 million. There's I wouldn't say it's an obligation to buy, but there's a purchase option. He, more importantly, renewed his contract at Barcelona, so allowing the move to happen because obviously they wanted to protect their asset and things like that. He had interest from Betis and Seville, but this is the club he wanted to play for. And I want of course, like, let's keep it real. If he was looking at some of the options, both of the flanks and whatnot, he probably wouldn't be on most people's radars, at least. As a first choice option, he definitely got ability and can have a role in the squad. I'm not going to hold that against Denis Suárez. I think he's a good player. I've watched him at Barcelona. Obviously, had a spell at Villarreal, Seville. He got the move to Barcelona. It's tough for anyone to break into Barcelona. Admittedly, I don't know how transfers work and all of these things there, but I wanted Malcolm in the summer. I don't know if we've burnt our bridges with his agent, but considering his lack of playing time, that would have been the guy for me to play the flanks and things like that. Emery said we need a winger. He keeps describing Denis Suárez as a winger, and he is one. He's got fantastic technical ability, as you know. He's reasonably paced, and he's a decent player. So, and he's 25. So, if he really wants to achieve anything in football, he's going to have to hit the ground running and do his thing. So we can kind of hope on that. He's not one of these youngsters who's going to just kind of sit around. He wants to seize his opportunity and kind of with a point to prove to Barcelona and possibly any other teams that didn't believe in him. Obviously, if you're inclined to believe what I've just said, Emery said in around, he keeps referring to him as a winger. He clearly can play a couple of positions. You'd think he's going to play out wide. And I think that's the case. But I was having this debate on Twitter and with friends, and I'm still none the wiser. Do you think he could play in the Özil role as well? Now, we know he can play there, but if we look at this side now, people, there's an issue, away from all of this, there's an issue with the pivot, and I think Unai Emery is going to have to try and get the best out of it. Appears obviously Xhaka and Torreira are the pivot, but normally one's up here, one's down there, and vice versa, and those in him work better. So we're going to have to do something with the pivot. But if we just bring him back here now, the Ramsey role. Could he do the Ramsey role? And what I mean by that is he strikes me as he is more. Aaron Ramsey is more of a. I would say I think Unai can appreciate that Özil clearly has more technical ability and them things than Aaron Ramsey. But I think Aaron Ramsey's sort of what he brings to the table is more the creative sort of things Unai looks at. Again, it's not the best example, but what I mean by that is he probably wants. He wants less poetry and motion, more Kevin De Bruyne, sort of, in the sense that obviously Kevin De Bruyne is in poetry and motion to a degree, and he doesn't play in the 10. But when he's in midfield, he creates a lot. He obviously gets involved a lot, and I think that's more of the industrial approach, sort of, that Unai Emery favours. If you look at how he uses Aaron Ramsey in the system, I think he honestly is going to use him in the system. Obviously, I don't know if statistics back it up, but just in terms of the perception or the eye bias or the eye test, Denis Suárez would strike me as someone that is quicker than Özil, someone that covers more ground than Özil, and someone that's more of a, he's not a workhorse, but more of a workhorse than Özil. Now, they obviously take up similar positions. He can pick up the ball from deep, and then the driving runs he can make as well is a big reason as to why I think he could possibly play this, I don't want to call it the Özil role, but the Ramsey role sort of thing. Obviously, he can play on the left and he can play on the right and things like that, and he can take people down the flanks. But I think on more than one occasion, you're going to see him, like most Arsenal players, come inside and things like that. And it almost, you wouldn't describe him as a winger. It's more of a wide playmaker, because I don't think he's slow. He's obviously a decent dribbler, ball carrier. That's what makes him an attractive option. On the flanks. But equally, that's what makes him attractive here. So how he sets up or how he lines up in Arsenal or in Emery's line of thinking is anyone's guess. But just on the topic of bringing in bodies, bringing in depth, it's a needed and welcome addition, because admittedly all our injuries seem to be with the back four, but we're playing a risky game in terms of fitness of several players. Different options bring out the best, and like I said, if you can play in the 10, the Ramsey role, or a couple others on either flank, then it makes him an attractive opposition. Hopefully he hits the ground running and things like that. He wouldn't be most people's first choice signing and that, but we can't hold it against him and things like that. Welcome to the club. I say welcome to the club is because it's not done, and I guess deals are not done until it's done. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you know we drag out stuff, but Luis Suárez has wished him good luck. I think his girlfriend on Instagram said good luck as well. All the credible journalists and things are speaking about it, so we know it's more or less done. Unai Emery, I wouldn't say he more or less said it's done, but he was a bit more open on naming names and talking about players post Cardiff than he was in previous weeks. So something must be being done, or there must be mouthpieces, and David Ornstein's speaking about it as well. So we'll see how it develops, but I'm interested to see how he lines up in the system, man, because I can see him obviously playing on either flank depending on how Emery wants to utilise him. Probably the right, but I think the left. But I just look at them 3 men in midfield, and I think he could possibly slot there, because you look at our midfield. A lot of people say we need 3 DMs and stuff. I feel, or we play with that. I don't believe that. I just believe we don't work well enough in a pivot, no matter who's there, in terms of when one closes down, when's the other drop. We're not good enough in terms of working in pairs, synchronized movement. So it's no surprise if you slip an extra man in midfield, we look better in that department. So I'm not sure how he wants to go, because I look at how we actually have issues playing out from, well, not playing out from the back, but building more or less. Denis Suárez is someone that you could see, if he is in here, dropping into this role or provoking the opposition, dropping in, taking it off either if it's the centre halves. I'm not saying he's playing in the pivot, but if he's in the Ramsey role, dropping deep like you see Ramsey, picking it up, trying to provoke, dribbling and whatnot. It makes him, the more I describe it, the more open I am to obviously utilising him in different ways, because you want him to obviously play in one specific position and do what Denis Suárez has been known for, but yeah, man, if he can excel at a couple positions like he clearly can, then it's good for us. But we know it's an underwhelming signing. I'm not going to hold that against him. He didn't choose to sign for this club, and if we can get him playing to a decent standard at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So on that note, I'm going to get out of your hair. So people, deluded, stay safe, stay deluded, and them things there. Comment, subscribe, and do the rest.